The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so good morning. Welcome to today's team building event. Today, we're going to be learning what to do in the event of an active shooter. We're gonna bring in a special guest. She's actually an expert on this, and she's going to be leading our team building event. This is Kaylee.
If there was an active shooter, you'd all be dead. When you talk out loud, the shooter can tell where you are and where you're hiding. Sometimes we play the game who can stay quietest the longest, so we all remember. You can try and protect your friends by pushing the tables and chairs against the doors. You also have to put a piece of paper over the door windows so they can't see in. And you can't cry. It gives away your position and your hiding spot. And if you're in the bathrooms, you have to stand on the toilet seat and crunch down so they can't see your feet and they can't see your head, so they don't know that you're in there.
That's crazy.
Try to listen for things that could help the police. For example, if you hear a lot of bangs like bang, 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 the shooter might be down the hall. Or if you hear louder ones like bang, 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 he could be right outside your door. If the shooter comes in the room, screaming won't do anything. You have to try and fight back. If you can't escape, we get taught the emergency window escape plan, where you have to break a window, put clothes over the frame, and climb through. Our teacher used to sing a song to make it easy to remember. Lockdown, lockdown, let's all hide. Lock the doors and stay inside. Crouch on down, don't make a sound, and don't cry or you'll be found.
'Cause I don't wanna die. 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 'Cause I don't wan
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Ordinary Talk. This is Jeff. I hope everybody is had a great week. We're coming up on the weekend, and I guess it's supposed to be a long weekend because of the 4th of July. I hope everybody, if you're going to celebrate it, has a good time. Personally, I don't feel much like celebrating the 4th this year because of things that's been happening in the Supreme Court, and I don't think that we have a right to still consider ourselves a free nation as long as a certain group of people are unable to have the freedom to do what they want with their own bodies. And until that time ever returns, we can't honestly call ourselves a free society, a free nation. I think the 4th of July is celebrating something that used to be, and it's not anymore. And I don't see how the rest of the world is really going to take our 4th of July celebration with anything but hypocrisy, because we're not really Smokey, get down! So I don't see how the rest of the world can really take us seriously, that we're over here celebrating, shooting off fireworks and all that stuff, and they're over there, and we're over here cutting our own throats here by taking away freedoms. So it's really sad. And today, another blow here to not just the United States but the world, okay, which I think is beyond the purview of the Supreme Court, because like I said, this is going to affect the world at large here, so they shouldn't have any say at this at all. But this article here from The Hill from Rachel Friesen, entitled "Supreme Court's EPA Ruling Could Put Other Regulations in Danger." The Supreme Court's Thursday decision curtailing Environmental Protection Agency authority could hamper regulations far beyond climate. The conservative majority in the 6-3 ruling found that an Obama-era power plant rule was not permissible since it didn't have, quote, clear congressional authorization, unquote. But legal experts say this principle could be applied elsewhere, restricting the Biden administration from imposing other regulations in areas including health and consumer protections. Quote, if people think the federal government should be there to ensure that Americans have a basic level of health, safety, and environmental protection, they should be very worried about these decisions, unquote, said University of Michigan law professor Nina Mendelsohn. The High Court's ruling involved a legal philosophy called the, quote, major questions doctrine, unquote, which posits that regulations of substantial national significance need to have clear authorization from Congress. It's not the first time the idea has popped up. It recently made an appearance in the court's decision to block the Biden administration's coronavirus vaccines or testing mandate for large employers. But William Busby, law professor at Georgetown, said that on Thursday the Supreme Court took a new approach. Quote, it's applying this doctrine more aggressively, unquote, Busby said, pointing out that major questions was being used to curb the EPA's authorities in an area where the agency actually has power and expertise. He called the court's move a power grab that will offer artillery for future arguments against regulations to address new problems. It now means that in every regulatory battle, people will cite this case and this doctrine as a particular set of hurdles that agencies have to overcome, unquote, he said. John Yo, a Bush administration Justice Department official who is now a non-residential senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, said that the major questions doctrine would now be a permanent feature and restriction on regulation following the ruling. Quote, it really is now a significant change and addition to administrative law and the way the courts are going to patrol the administrative use of state, unquote, you said. Experts said that the case could both impact litigation for existing regulations and have a chilling effect on how agencies approach rulemaking going forward. Quote, this makes it more difficult for agencies to regulate unquestionably, unquote. Mendelsohn said, adding that clean rules on water protections, product safety, and vehicle safety are among those that Thursday's decision may jeopardize. Quote, EPA has the authority to address water pollution, but that statute, like the Clean Air Act, is written in broad terms. A future court could decide that a particular EPA regulation to protect water quality is simply too major and invalidated as illegal, unquote, she said. She added that under this doctrine, regulations that deal with new problems or that deal with existing problems in new ways will be most at risk. Quote, existing regulations are not all safe, but the primary effect will be on regulations to address new problems or regulations to take new approaches to address existing problems, Mendelsohn said. You said that another area where the doctrine could be used is to block the Title IX regulations that have implications for how universities handle sexual misconduct allegations. Quote, I could see this court saying nobody in Congress thought that gave the federal government the right to establish a code of student conduct for every single school in the country, unquote, he said. Others argued, however, that the larger regulatory impacts of Thursday's decision could be somewhat limited. Scott Nelson, an attorney at the Public Citizen Litigation Group, pointed to language in the opinion that says that such scrutiny of congressional intent should be applied in, quote, unquote, extraordinary cases rather than ordinary ones. Quote, it definitely is going to impact regulatory litigation, that is challenges to regulation, unquote. But he added, quote, if you take the court at its word, this remains a limited doctrine to be deployed in extraordinary cases, unquote. The court found that Congress did not authorize the EPA to induce a shift to cleaner energy sources using the approach sought by the Obama-era Clean Power Plan. That plan, which aimed to lessen climate change, would have done so through building blocks, including less power coming from coal plants and more from lower emitting natural gas plants and zero. You know what? That fucking thing is ridiculous, okay? I'm sick and tired of hearing about the fucking Supreme Court cutting goddamn things to pieces. What the hell is this group anyway? This is ridiculous. You know, how in the hell can people honestly sit here and look at this fucking court and say these people are there for a reason? Okay, that they are there to protect the Constitution. Here they are telling us that we can't even protect our own environment now. They're trying to say that putting rules on companies to have clean air, clean water, you know, so that people don't fucking die from cancer out on the street. They're not supposed to do that. What the hell is the fucking EPA for if they're going to sit there and cut the legs out from under it? I'll tell you what this group is. This Scotus here. I did some research and I found out what this damn, this fucking outfit really stands for. Scotus. Okay, it doesn't stand for Supreme Court of the United States. What it stands for is Supreme Center of Operational Terrorism in the United States. That's what this fucking outfit stands for. And I'll tell you right now, if people in this country do not get out and vote this November to change things as they are, to put more Democrats in the fucking seats, we're fucked. We are fucked. Okay? You can forget about the United States ever being free again in this nation. This is it. This is the fucking moment. This fucking November is the time to fucking save this country. Jesus. How many more things do we have to sit and read off the internet about the Supreme Court taking away this, taking away that? What the hell is the matter with this country anyway? That, you know, that we could sit by and let this court of fucking idiots, you know, of terrorists is what they are. They're fucking terrorists inside our own country. 6 justices are terrorizing this country using the fucking authority of the Supreme Court. Folks, I don't know how else to make people understand the importance of showing up for this vote in this November. Let me tell you something. People like to say the vote doesn't matter anymore. Well, it does matter, and I'll tell you why it matters. Because if it didn't matter, why are the Republicans spending so much time redistricting areas in this country, spending so much time trying to eliminate the vote in this country if the vote doesn't matter? They're trying to cheat beforehand, people. That means they're afraid of the vote because they know the numbers are not on their side. There are more Democrats in this country than there are fucking Republicans, and it's always been that way. But because we are so feeble-minded and we don't get out and vote, we always get overwhelmed by Republican minority votes. People, we can't do that shit anymore, okay? You need to get out there and vote this fucking November, and you need to vote a straight ballot Democrat all the way down just to keep those people's foot away from the door. That's what we got to do. We can no longer play this little game here of, oh, I'm only going to vote in the more important elections and stay home for the local ones. No! You vote in every election, and I'll tell you, if you don't encourage others to vote with you when you go in there, okay, that's it. You know, you're basically impeding change in this country. Okay, people need to think of this as a religion to vote in this country, because that's the way the Republicans see it. To them, that vote is important. That vote is everything to them. Okay, now that they have control of the court, control of the Senate, okay, you know, they basically blocked the president 2 different ways from Sunday now. I mean, he can't get anything done. And that's because we got 2 Democrats that are turncoats. They are fucking traitors to the party. And we got Republicans that are all united to just disagree with anything that Democrats come up with to try to fix things. That's their only purpose right now in this fucking government. Just to stop, you know, keep putting roadblocks in front of them, okay? Even if the Democrats have good ideas, no, never going to see the light of day. Not as long as they're where they are now, okay? Forget it. There's no such thing as a Republican reaching across the aisle. Not under Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has those people under his fucking thumb, and I don't know how that is possible, but it is. Okay? He's been in there. He's a fucking dinosaur from the old days. He's not going to quit. All right? And the only way that bastard leaves is when he dies. Because, like it or not, people keep voting him back in office. You know, which goes to the other point about term limits, not just for the court, but also for, you know, the Senate. You know, you should only be allowed to be voted back in as a senator so many times, and that's it. Okay, we shouldn't have these dynasties in the fucking government. That's not democracy. Democracies don't have dynasties in their fucking government. Okay, they serve their time and they go home. That's it. That's the only way you can have a fair goddamn government and people able to participate in that government. All right? I'm tired of reading all this bad news coming from our government, okay? Because somebody has to do something. And apparently the president can't do anything, okay? The vice president can't do anything. The Democrats as a whole can't seem to do anything about it. Even though some of them are firing mad about what's going on, they can't seem to motivate anybody, even though they are. So what the hell is going on here? What the fuck is going on? I mean, you know, it's like overnight. Things are happening, and, you know, one day we go to bed, we have a right, the next day we wake up, it's gone. I mean, how many times are we going to have to do this before people say enough is a fucking enough, okay? That's got to stop. They don't even give us a chance to debate the fucking issue before they take it away from us. I mean, how the hell does a democracy work like that? You know? The president wants to codify Roe versus Wade into law. Well, guess what? He ain't going to be able to do it. And when he leaves office and they get a Republican in there, guess what's going to happen then? The Republicans are going to codify Roe versus Wade as, you know, law being no, not law, but they're going to codify the law that you cannot have abortions. They're illegal across the nation. That's what they're going to do. If we don't hurry up and make a law out of this, they're going to make a law of their own when they get in there, where they're going to just say, yes, we're going to uphold the decision and make that law from the Supreme Court. No abortions allowed, period, across the country. It's going to be just like prohibition. That's what they're going to do. So if Biden doesn't codify Roe versus Wade, the Republicans are going to codify against it and make that law. Okay? And then if you think it's hard now to undo this, you ain't seen nothing yet. Try and overturn a law with Republicans in control of the fucking houses the way they are. You know what? You're never gonna see that. We're not going to see that. And the only way we can possibly have a chance, and I'm talking about a long shot here, like hitting a bullseye at 5,000 yards, okay? The only way we're going to get that chance is if we vote blue all the way down the ticket this November and change some seats over. And I mean, we're going to have to change about 8 seats from Republican to Democrat in this country, in the Senate. At least 8 seats. Because you got to remember, we got 2 Democrats who are not really Democrats. They're fucking Republican plants put in the fucking position of undoing everything Biden is trying to do. That's what they are. They're fucking turncoat traitors is what they are. And I'll tell you right now, Sinema and Manchin, if they get re-elected back into their positions, the states they come from should be, kicked right out of the fucking union. Okay, because the people living in those states apparently would love to have the United States unfold, into a goddamn anarchy. Because that's where we're headed. Because you're not going to get civility after you overturn a government, people. That does not happen until after a fight has been fought and settled. That fight could last years, people. That fight could last years and could destroy a lot of assets in this country that we can't replace. Is that what you want? Because that's where we're headed. You think the Civil War was won in a day? No, it took years to fight that goddamn battle, and it crippled the country. But, going back into that fight, is where they're taking us because they want to undo everything that this country was founded on. The Republicans never liked it. They never liked the Constitution. They never liked the Bill of Rights. They never liked anything that the Founding Fathers had intended to put in there. They hate it all. Why? Because they are poisoned by fucking corporate greed. Corporations are the ones that are trying to work in this country, and they can't because of regulations. How weird it is, or how coincidental it is that the Supreme Court today making it a lot easier now for corporations to just destroy the environment as they see fit because the EPA can't touch them. Okay? Let that sink in now. Let's go to a commercial break.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
And there's your beautiful baby.
Any day now.
Really? You're eating Doritos? He's eating Doritos on my ultrasound. Do you see what I have to do?
I know.
Give me that.
Nou, dit is dus de huiskamer. En dan komen we hier bij de slaapkamer. Oh ja. Met...
If I'm beaten and raped in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my rapist. If I am raped by my father, brother, or uncle and get pregnant in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my family abuser. This new law is so draconian that I can be prosecuted for having an abortion, and so can my doctors, friends, and family who advise me, or even the Uber driver who simply drives me to the clinic. This is madness. The same people who have been protesting and screaming, "My body, my choice," when it comes to the COVID vaccine, are now saying I don't have any control over my own body. Texas Republicans won't require a 12-year-old girl to wear a mask in school that may save her life and the lives of other children, but they will force her to keep a baby regardless of how she got pregnant, including rape and incest. I am a woman, and I have a constitutional right to make decisions for my own body. I am a woman, and I have a human right to refuse to give birth to my rapist's baby. I am a woman. This is my body. I am a woman. This is the United States of America. I am a woman. You do not own or control my mind or my body.
My body is my choice.
Shame on the men and women who passed this law, and shame on anyone who sits in silence while women suffer and die because of it.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. All right, so there was another Supreme Court thing, ruling here made today. This is from The Conversation, written by Kevin Johnson and Dean, Professor of Public Interest Law and Chicano Studies, University of California, Davis. Entitled Supreme Court's Remain in Mexico ruling puts immigration policy in the hands of voters as long as elected presidents follow the rules. In the very last decision of its latest term, the Supreme Court released a major ruling that not only clears a barrier to ending a signature policy of the Trump administration, but also signals that the future of immigration policy is in the hands of the electorate. In Biden versus Texas, the Supreme Court rejected an effort to prevent the current president's rollback of a Trump-era policy that requires asylum seekers arriving at the U.S. southern land border to be returned to Mexico while their claims were being processed. The 5-4 decision means that the case will be returned to the lower court, but it also makes clear that whoever is control of the White House has the power to change directions in immigration policy, even drastic reversals of policy. It follows that presidents can do the same in other substantive legal areas as well, such as civil rights and environmental protection. The issue in Biden versus Texas was whether the Biden administration could dismantle a Trump administration policy, formerly known as Migrant Protection Protocols, but widely referenced to as the Remain in Mexico policy. As part of an array of immigration enforcement measures, the Trump administration announced the policy in late 2018 in response to numbers of migrants arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. But the migrant protection protocols came under scrutiny amid concerns over the safety and conditions to which asylum seekers were subjected in camps under the supervision of Mexican authorities. Human Rights Watch found the policy sent, quote, asylum seekers to face risks of kidnapping, extortion, rape, and other abuses in Mexico, unquote, while also violating, quote, their right to seek asylum in the United States, unquote. Yet an attempt by the Biden administration to eliminate the protocols was barred by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. The circuit judges found that the Biden administration had violated immigration law, requiring the detention of asylum seekers. The Supreme Court rejected this ruling, in a majority opinion written by Chief Justice John Roberts, joined by Justice Stephen Breyer, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Brett Kavanaugh. The court held that the Biden administration's decision to terminate the migrant protection protocols did not violate federal immigration law. The state of Texas had argued that ending the Remain in Mexico policy violated a provision that every asylum seeker entering the country be returned or detained. In his dissent, Justice Samuel Alito argued that the statute requires mandatory detention of migrants at the border. Justice Amy Coney Barrett's dissent expressed the view that the Supreme Court lacked the jurisdiction and that the case should be remanded back to the lower courts. The Supreme Court's decision means the case will be sent back to the lower court to decide. But with the removal of a major legal obstacle preventing Biden from ending the Remain in Mexico policy, the Supreme Court held that the immigration law does not require mandatory detention of all asylum seekers while their claims are being decided. But moreover, the court made clear that the president has the discretion to change direction in immigration policy and continue or end policies of the previous president. That might seem self-evident, but it comes after another 5-4 decision penned by Chief Justice Roberts, 2020's Department of Homeland Security versus Regents of the University of California, which held that a president could not act irrationally in changing immigration policy. In that decision, the Supreme Court found that the Trump administration had acted in an arbitrary and capricious fashion in rescinding the Obama administration's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, DACA policy. That policy provided limited legal status and work authorization to undocumented migrants who came to this country as children, so-called dreamers. In the court's view, the Trump administration had not adequately considered the interests of the migrant children in deciding to rescind the policy and had given inconsistent reasons about the basis for the rescission. The ruling provided fuel for states to challenge the Biden administration when it attempted to roll back some Trump-era policies. For example, Arizona, along with other states, challenged Biden's attempt to abandon a proposed rule change by the previous administration that would tighten the requirements of low and moderate income non-citizens seeking to come to the U.S., although the Supreme Court initially accepted a review of the case, it ultimately dismissed the appeal and declined to decide the merits. In the end, the Supreme Court's decision in Biden versus Texas stands for the simple proposition that presidential elections matter when it comes to government policy, as long as an incumbent administration follows the rules, including rational deliberation of the policy choices in front of it. It can, the Supreme Court has said, change immigration policy. Well, I think people are just getting tired of this one president doing things this way and the next president totally going the other way. People want to see some kind of, what are we going to do with immigrants in this country? We want to see yes or no, or what, what I'm saying? People are tired of these shifting policies in immigration, and I can't imagine it's any easier for other countries, like Mexico, trying to deal with our shifting, requirements for people getting into this country. I think immigration has been an anchor on America for a long time, and we've been pushing this down the road. You know what I'm saying? Kicking the can down the road, as they say, to try and avoid dealing with this thing. And at the same time, other governors in this, that border the country of Mexico, use that as a campaign plan, if you will, if they win, that they're going to do something about immigration, because people in those states feel threatened by immigrants coming into this country. Okay, they've always felt that way as far back as I can remember. That the discussion about immigrants coming from Mexico has always been a big concern with Republicans. And the Democrats, for some reason, don't seem to look at it that way. What they look at is, we're trying to open the door to let people come into America who want to be Americans. Okay, but obviously the Republicans see that as a threat, because from what they explore, in their data polling and stuff like that, when it comes to voting and stuff, is that more people who are in the minority groups will vote Democrat. And they don't like that. So they try to block immigrants coming into this country as best as they can. And Trump, he really gave them, the ammunition, as it were, to really try and do that by promising the wall, or coming down harder on these immigrants and stuff like that, which at the end of the day didn't really matter much, because President Obama actually deported more immigrants than Trump ever did. Okay, so despite all the promises Trump made to try to undo immigration into this country, he didn't even come close to succeeding at it. And the fact that a Democrat was able to accomplish more in that department than him, that's something that Republicans won't even admit to. Okay, so it's still of importance, and that's why the Supreme Court today was talking about this, is because it's a matter that keeps coming up in the circles of the GOP, and since the Supreme Court is packed with Republican affiliates, okay, loyal to the party and not to the Constitution, obviously this issue is going to be one of the things they were going to discuss and talk about. And basically what they've done is say, don't bring the problem to us, let the smaller courts deal with it. In other words, we're not going to take a stand. Why? They've always wanted to take a stand on that at some point, so why now? Why are they not doing this now? Anybody got a clue as to why it's easier for them to cut our throats by poisoning our environment, but it's not so easy to do what they've been bitching about for fucking half my life. Jesus, I don't know, this court really is insane. It is truly insane. And I think that we as Americans really need to sit back and figure out, do we really need to have a Supreme Court in this country? Because I've been told that every year the justices are swamped with requests for cases to be heard, and they can only just pick and choose out of the thousands of requests they get, and that's it, because there's not enough to go around. There's not enough justice, not enough hours in a day for them to go through every single case, which is, you know, supposed to be their duty. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that these people can just randomly choose out of the pile what they could take. They're supposed to look at all these cases. That's their fucking job. Okay? Which is why I say the Supreme Court is an old-fashioned thing in the system that does not have a purpose anymore in our government. The states have their own Supreme Courts. Let the states' Supreme Courts be the final word on anything, okay? Why do we have to have this one court? And it's already broken, by the way. It's been broken by politics. Now we got a broken court now that can just pick and choose whatever case they want to hear because they want to pick the good ones that, you know, they get attention. But they don't care about all the other ones they don't look at. Some people, their lives depend on it, and they don't even look at those. So I feel like, you know, the Supreme Court's usefulness has ended a long time ago because our population has exploded in this country in the last 100 years, okay? We've got a whole plethora of people living in America now, and the Supreme Court can't hack it no more. You'd have to make about 50 more Supreme Courts in order to pick up the load, okay? And if you do that, then apparently the Supreme Court can't be the Supreme Court anymore because there's 50 of them, right? So, you know, what are we going to do? Build another Supreme Court on top of that? I mean, Jesus, I mean, just think about how ridiculous our justice system has become, how useless it is. You know, that to get justice in America it's extraordinary if anybody ever really gets it, okay? Because the way we look at things in America is not right, okay? And like, I don't know when I said this before, but I know I've said this in a previous video, okay? That one of the ways that people can see an improvement in justice in this country so that way people get what they deserve, criminals, is by letting the victims dictate what the punishment will be. Okay? Let's say a woman was raped, and they caught the guy, and he's on trial, and she's there, and the jury says he's guilty, and instead of the judge leveling out the fucking justice, that responsibility goes to the victim where it belongs, because it's that person who was the one that got attacked and abused. The judge has no right to speak for her or him or whoever, okay? Because the law that's sitting before him is it's not a shade of gray, it's just black and white, and the judge has got to be the one to imprint a shade of gray in there so he can supposedly be fair. Well, was the guy that raped the girl being fair? No. So why does he deserve to be fair? Why does his punishment deserve to be fair when he didn't act fairly to whoever, you know, crime he would have committed? You know what I'm saying? Or even just a simple theft. Okay, what if a guy steals something, you know, really expensive, okay, and they go to court. They catch the guy, they go to court, and the person he stole from gets to decide, you know, or no, that actually the judge decides what the punishment will be. Well, does the judge take into account that maybe the item that was stolen was worth more than the monetary value of it, that maybe there was sentimental value attached to it? Okay, maybe it was a family heirloom or something. You know, does he factor that in there? I don't think so. I think what they do is they look at the law and they go by that, you know. And oftentimes the rulings always come down, it's always a question mark. Why was it not stiffer? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, victims should be the ones to decide the punishment for the person who committed the crime. Okay, when you see that happening, I think a certain level of fear gets trickled down into the society by saying, well, the days of trying to wiggle your way out of a severe punishment for a crime is over. Because if the victim gets the final word, your ass is either life in prison or death row in most cases. Because people won't find justice until they get their justice their way. And that's what we got to do in this country. I really feel that that's what has to be done. Okay? The victims have the right to decide the punishment. Let the jury decide if he's guilty or innocent. Okay? And let the judge dictate to the jury how they're supposed to decide guilt or innocence, and then let the victim decide the punishment. Okay? It certainly puts a whole definition on cruel and unusual punishment, right? But then when you levy that to a victim, is the punishment really cruel or unusual, more so than the crime? Go figure. But you know, people have different emotional reactions to things than others. We can't just generalize everybody's problem as the same just because it falls in the category of a rape or a robbery or a shooting or, you know, whatever. Okay? Different people are going to have different levels of what they need for justice in order to feel like at least they got vengeance. Instead of them taking a gun and going after the guy or whatever, at least they got to have the court do that for them. Okay? At least it makes it seem a little more humane in a way, because we're not allowing chaos rampant on the streets. We're letting the courts deal with that. But anyway, I'm digressing here from the immigration policy. The thing, like I said, is that our courts today are broken. And more noticeable now than ever before is the Supreme Court. And it has no purpose, as far as I'm concerned, even being part of our, you know, our government as a piece of it. You know, one third of the government. It doesn't belong there anymore. We don't need it. Justice itself ought to be that third. Okay, it shouldn't land on one specific court. That should just cover all courts in this country. You know, small, whatever. Okay, that should be the courts there. Congress should have the problem of trying to decide whether bills that land on their desks fit inside the, you know, the borders of constitutional law, you know, or what's acceptable. It shouldn't be up to the Supreme Court. I mean, why are they even part of the fucking equation is beyond me. Okay, the duty that they have is this one duty, and they can't seem to do it anymore. Okay, because they're so blinded by political loyalty that they can't do their job. That's why every ruling now is always going to be split down party lines in the Supreme Court. You know, Jesus. I mean, that right there should be enough proof to anyone that even if you're a Republican, I mean, it should scare the hell out of you that, you know, your party is willing to just stay together and vote against the country's best interest, okay, because you put them there, and that's what they're going to do. And like I said, a lot of the things they're talking about doing here aren't just going to affect Democrats. It's going to affect everybody. These rulings, like the climate, EPA stuff, that affects Republicans too. That's, you know, they live in these shithole states that are red states, and, you know, and the fucking places is, you know, all homeless and dilapidated. Well, nothing's going to improve there now, especially with if nobody wants to do anything about pollution. Okay, things aren't going to get any better there. So, you know, Republicans, a lot of these people, they just don't understand that, you know, just because you got your way, okay, you didn't think long term enough to understand exactly what your wish was that you wanted. It's like, you know, be careful what you wish for, okay, because you may get it. And with this Roe versus Wade thing, these people wished and wished and wished it away. They finally got it, okay, and time will tell whether these people who supported it will still support it, you know, later on. But I can guarantee you many won't. I can tell you right now, many won't, because I know there was a lot of Republicans who weren't happy at all, you know, and these were female Republicans. Now, the extremist arm of the Republican Party will never admit to that. They'll never admit that they were pissed off that happened. Of course not. They wouldn't be extremists if they admitted to it. Okay? Those people are part of the cabal of fucking terrorists in this country that are working seemingly legitimately, calling themselves, you know, journalists, calling themselves religious. These people working together for a single cause, and that's the deterioration of the country from within. At the same time, blaming the other side for destroying the country from within. Like I said, they always point the finger at the other side when they're the ones doing shit that's wrong. Okay, that's how they deflect attention. That's just how it is. And that's what these people have been doing here for decades now, and it's working. It's working because a lot of people, and everywhere I go, that fucking news station, Fox News, is on in some fucking place, and there's people in there watching that. You know, there's nothing more I'd love to just take a sledgehammer to that TV set and blow the tube out of that damn thing or something, and just say, look, you people don't need to be filling your heads with this shit. Okay, this is not news. This is propaganda. This is entertainment, but it's anything but news. It's not fact. These people are not going to tell you everything. And I wish people, you know, these public places would stop putting that channel on in the waiting rooms and stuff like that, because that's all they hear when they're in there, is they hear this fucking head on Fox News that's doing this shit, you know, saying lies and backing it up with other people who echo the lies and making it sound legitimate. Okay, they're very good at making it sound like they know what they're talking about, but they're pulling it out of their ass as quickly as they can. All right, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, great weekend. Hope I get a chance to talk about something else, you know, and the Supreme Court leave us alone. And please keep your ears open to local COVID-19 news. We're still having that pandemic going on through all of this. It hasn't stopped. And please, people, I know a lot of people are not wearing masks in public places. I think you should, because that other variant that's out there right now, it's still spreading around, especially here in Maine. People really need to put their masks back on. So people are still dying from this thing. So let's not force around and play Russian roulette here. So please comment and subscribe, and I am happy to reply to your comments. So please take care, everybody.